Okay. Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders What podcast. Today, I have a very, very special guest for us. My new wonderful friend here, Zoraida Morales. We connected through one of our common good friends, Mary Gooden, my publisher, my dear friend, and alumni of my podcasting academy. She did a book with her, with Irina, Soul Parent. Irina, also phenomenal lady, was one of my podcasting academy's alumni. We connected. We had a beautiful chat a month ago, and then right away I knew that I had to bring her in because, she's blessed with enough gifts that we can do an entire, not just a season, but a podcast, just me and her, the Zoraida and Payment Show. For example, she has so much to share, so much wisdom. She's lived so much. She lived in one life so far, more than most people would in 5 or 6. But anyways, a little bit about her. She's a Yorican, so New Yorker, Yorican, Puerto Rico represent, but beautiful place. So one thing that really stood out about her and really, that I can relate with is that she's a cancer coach. And cancer also affected my family. I had both of my parents ascend due to cancer. So as soon as I heard that, I said, wow, that's a very touchy subject, and we need to connect with it. And wow, once I started to learn her story, I was floored. First of all, she's a cancer survivor herself. She just celebrated on August 7th, her 2-year anniversary of being cancer free. So congratulations for that. She was diagnosed with leukemia, and she went through a lot of challenges, divorce, cancer, you name it, and little injuries along the way as well. She just sprained her ankle again while traveling in Estonia. She's a fellow traveler just like me. She lived in multiple places, Estonia, Portugal, and we're just talking about Bali, Indonesia. I'm based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So we had a wonderful talk. We've been talking for almost an hour just before going live. So anyways, so much about her, that we can talk about. So yes, so she's a cancer coach. She's helping cancer people who've been diagnosed with cancer out to live with it so they can beat it, so you can increase the chances, the odds of beating it. And she's also, she has a program helping those cancer patients to really cope with it and eventually come out of it and be like her, become cancer free as well. So there's a lot of good things she's doing. She does a lot of energy work, so very highly spiritual and also heart driven. This is why she's here. So there's so much more I can say about her. We're going to unpack all of that, but without any further ado, Zoraida, first of all, what a beautiful name. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You muted.
No, I'm not.
Oh, I can't hear you.
No.
Oh, 1 sec. Let me pause this. Anyway, so Zoraida, as I said, what a beautiful name. I'm so honored to have you here with us today. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
You don't mind. First of all, tell us, what is the meaning of your name? Because each name has a meaning.
Wow. I don't remember, but it's a word like enchantment. Because I looked it up once Google came out, and I was able to understand the meaning. But I can tell you how I got the name. So I have siblings who are Susan, Sandy, and Bill.
Okay.
Very American names.
Yeah.
And so I learned when I was young that my father named me, and my mother said that she found out when I was about 9 months old that he named me after his favorite girlfriend. And that was it. She cut him off after that. She said, no more naming any children. So I am the oldest, and I'm named Zoraida, which is Spanish and Arabic. And my siblings have American names, and I always grew up jealous that they had names that everyone can pronounce and whose names appeared in keychains, but I could never find mine. I could never find my initial. I could never find my name. And, you know, we're in 2023. Now I can find my name everywhere. I love technology.
You know, I'm in same situation with you, is that I have a unique name. At first I was bothered. I wanted to have a name like everyone else, Payment. And I used to be made so much fun. People called me Pac-Man, Batman, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, you too? I got Zorro the Gay Blade.
Because of my name, Pac-Man was when I was in high school, and then Batman. I prefer more Batman than Pac-Man, but you know,
Me too.
I'm actually glad that I have a unique name because hey, when I have not met anyone, I can count on one hand the number of people that have met other payments, as opposed to being John, Michael, whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But you know what? I've met a Zoraida, and yeah, my brother about 10 years ago dated a Zoraida.
okay.
And then now I Google it, and there's other people who are Zoraida. So yeah, and I like the fact that it's Zoraida and it's Zoraida.
Zoraida that eats a Doritos. No, I'm just joking. I'm just being silly. Anyways, welcome to the show. So I'm very happy to have you. How are you doing today? Or
I'm
tonight?
doing great. Yeah, tonight, because I'll be going to sleep after this. I'm doing terrific, terrific. I got sending 2 kids to college. One of them just came to visit me. So after this, I'm going to spend a little time with him.
Beautiful. You know, for people who don't know you, sure, we're going to talk about your business, your impact, and all that. But for people who don't know you, who's Zoraida as a person, as a human being, and as a woman? Over and beyond what I just, the little tiny tidbits I shared in the introduction.
So I was asked that question last year when I went to Mind Valley University in Estonia.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to say. And then it just came to me. And I'm a learner and I'm a teacher. So whatever I learn, I teach others. And I really think that that's my purpose here. That's my purpose on in this space. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love that. So as I told you earlier, the types of conversation I like to have on my podcast is I like to have a look on the root, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to have a heart-to-heart conversation, to get to know you first as a person, as a human being, as a woman. Are you ready?
I am ready.
So to start off, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid-fire questions to further get to know you. Tell us, what makes you happy as a human being?
When my heart it's clicking, you know, when I'm excited, my fingers click, my heart clicks. I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm doing the right thing.
And you being the Yorican you are, you're very easy to start dancing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. What makes you smile?
Having deep conversations, you know, learning something I don't know, being with kind people.
Yes.
It's those little things.
Beautiful. Now let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches higher. What makes your heart sing? What makes your soul set on fire?
You know, I have this cancer coaching business, and, you know, I was a finance professional for 25, 30 years. I would have never thought that I was going to be a cancer coach. I mean, it just didn't occur to me. But when I coached a mother of a 28-year-old newly diagnosed cancer survivor, newly diagnosed cancer person, and I felt my heart and my just tingle, and I felt my fingers tingle, I knew I had to be a cancer coach. And it wasn't easy for me when I got diagnosed. And I wish I had a coach. And so I made a pact with God Universe that I was going to help him, help the world, that I was going to ease some of the suffering that was happening. And look, I got this revelation right before COVID. It was 2021 when I got this epiphany that I was going to do this. But that happened because I did so much work on myself after my divorce, because I wanted to understand my divorce. I wanted to understand my marriage. And then, you can't help but say, oh, shit, a lot of this has to, can I use the words here?
Yes.
Can I? So, I couldn't help but say, there's a lot to unpack on my childhood. And so I've been unpacking it for the last 4 years. And the more I unpack, the more I evolve. And that's how I became this cancer coach, because I could not have been the coach that I was as a finance professional. I just couldn't. I did not have those tools.
I wanted to unpack this later, but I think it would be appropriate for me to say it here. Sometimes when you put all the events in your life on a board, for example, and you put the dots together, you realize, oh my God, it's so related. 25, 30 years in finance, and then cancer, and a cancer coach. What you are today, everything you did before prepared you for now. For example, you being diagnosed with cancer, sure, it was horrible news, but then you had to go through that to understand it, overcome it, to find, in a way, that's how I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, to find your true purpose, your true mission. And now you've enlightened, come and help all those cancer patients. Sure, it was horrible and it was very painful, and you went through that, but by the grace of God, you overcame it. And now you're a teacher. Just like you said, you're a teacher. You have to learn it yourself to teach it. Do you see what I mean? So
you got it. That's exactly how I feel. I had to go through that because I couldn't teach what I didn't know, what I didn't experience myself. And so at the beginning, when I got this diagnosis, I was not happy. God and I broke up. We had a big fight. I was like, I'm done with you. You're not taking care of me. And I felt really alone. But I did not understand, right? In hindsight, 15 years later, that's my purpose.
Welcome.
And I feel so blessed because I have a purpose.
Absolutely.
Like, some people don't have a purpose, and that's okay, right? That's their purpose. Their purpose is not to have this big, gigantic purpose, but I have this big thing. And, I like to be in the mix of things, so I could see why I was chosen.
Yes. And everything makes sense when you put it that way, because as I like to say all the time, we all go to our fair share of, dark times, challenges, heartbreaks, struggles, tragedy, whatever you call it. Sure, it hurts a lot when we go to them, but then they become our story. Then our story becomes our gift. Then our gift becomes our duty and responsibility. Since I had my awakening, I understood a few powerful things about life. One of them, of course, life is a school. We come here to learn lessons and not only overcome lessons, become better ourselves, but that's only 5% of the reason we're here. The 95% is taking those gifts, sharing them with others, so we can all collectively rise and collectively learn. This is one of the powerful principles that I got to understand of the last few years, because we are here not only to, just like you said, I love what you said, I'm a learner, so I can teach. This really summarizes all of us. We're all here to learn, overcome. It's funny, in school, they teach you first, then they test you. In life, it's the other way. They test you first, and then you have to learn the lesson.
Yes.
And if you don't,
I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed that I did learn these lessons, because you and I both know, sometimes you have to learn a lesson 2 or 3 times before you get it. And so, and so, just the fact that I understood now, before I moved to the other place, it's just, I'm so grateful for that, because this time I got it, this time I understood. I'm at a different level of consciousness. You know, who I was yesterday is so totally different than who I am today, because even today I've learned some new lessons.
Totally, absolutely. We're always in a constant state of learning, but we have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Some people are not aware of it. It's not their fault, it's just that they're not ready. When they
Right. You have to be open
need
to
some-
receive.
they need something drastic to happen in their life to say, okay, let me to reflect on what really matters. And for a lot of us as a race, I would dare to venture to say that COVID, no matter how awful it was, we as a human race, a collective, we needed that as a slap on the wrist to wake up, to
I agree.
really stop focusing on the
The external.
things that don't matter. Like, hey, let me get a bigger house, a bigger chasing the money and chasing the latest bag, latest iPhone, latest car. No, that's not what matters. Relationships, yourself, your purpose. This is what truly matters.
Community. Yes, I agree.
Beautiful. I love how this has started. We will definitely dive into that in a moment. But let me finish that series of rapid fire question. Now, we talked about what sets your soul on fire, which is beautiful. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Poverty,
Yes.
high tuition rates for college,
Oh yeah, for everything.
unkindness, narcissism. Those are the things that really bug me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What scares you?
So right now, one of the biggest, I have two big fears that I'm working through. And my fear of being poor again, because I was born in poverty in the South Bronx of New York City, and lack of wealth. And so those are the two things that I personally am working towards and working on. And I am feeling so good about it. And I use many modalities to keep me emotionally balanced when it comes to those two things. And you know what? It made sense. I went into finance. I was a kid from the South Bronx of New York City in the 60s and 70s with broken down buildings and poverty in a 5-block radius. And so, I'm one of 4 children. And I remember all of us saying, we're not going to be poor anymore. And when we get older and we finish college, we're going to, make sure that we are not poor, and that we become the human beings that we want to be. And both of my sisters are in finance as well. And we're good at it. Me, I left. I mean, I'm kind of like the disruptor in my family. So I left finance, and the first thing they said was, "What, are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you?" And I said, I have to follow my heart.
At the end of it, this is what we all come here for, to find your purpose. Once you found it, go for it, go all in. Once you dedicate yourself to doing good, serving, even though if you don't have no idea how you're going to be able to make money out of it, you just focus on the doing good aspect, and I swear to you, the money is going to magically manifest itself. As long as
Yes,
purposes, the right intentions. I've seen that in my life.
I totally agree. And, I think about a year ago, a spiritual teacher told me, do you realize that you were supposed to be in finance? You were supposed to be in finance so you can, learn all these tools that, believe it or not, you're going to teach your clients. And it's just, and it gave me a purpose. It gave me a chance to elevate myself, get the degrees and certifications that I wanted, and just to be in that professional community, because I was in investment banking, investment management. I've worked in accounting. I've worked everywhere, and all in finance. So she said, God universe made sure that you had those tools and resources so you can elevate yourself. And then help others.
You know, it's, you went into, from what I'm seeing it, you went into finance to build that foundation to allow you security, peace of mind, so that now you can focus on your purpose.
Yeah.
Now in position, you have the blessing of the universe. You just go all in and trusting and just focus on doing good, on impacting, and you're only doing it because what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. We're gonna get into that in a moment. Helping cancer, being a cancer coach, that's one of the most beautiful things I've come across over the last almost 3 years, and 300, close to 300 guests on my podcast. So you're on the right path.
I
Absolutely.
feel that I am.
Yeah, awesome. Now, speaking of that, what would you say is your number one personal superpower?
Mine, oh my God. Resilience,
Mm,
innovator,
yeah,
disruptor.
yeah,
I don't follow what my heart doesn't resonate with. And I make my own decisions, and I come up with my own conclusions, and I don't follow trends or people like others do. I kind of go with my feelings and my intuition, and I think that makes me a disruptor. I like to get things done, you know? Yeah. So that coupled with the resilience has been working well for me, which can be a detriment at times as well. I'm not going to say it's not,
absolutely.
because sometimes I could be my own worst enemy.
Going down the wrong path, being too stubborn. Yes, I've been
Yes. Frustrated. Yeah.
there. Now, you enjoy traveling, don't you?
I do. I really do.
We can do an entire episode on traveling, and we may do that in the future. But now I want to take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back growing up. You know, when we were kids, people around us, family, relatives, friends, neighbors, teachers, always ask us, "Hey, Zoraida, what do you want to become when you grow up?" What does your answer as a little?
That's funny, because I was telling my kid what was on my high school yearbook, because he's going to college for the first time in next week, actually this weekend. And I told him that my yearbook says that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was 1977, 1981 when I wrote this. I'm going to be an entrepreneur in the business world. And actually, I became an entrepreneur at 58, and I was in finance since I've been 21 years old. So it really did happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Growing up, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
You know, I liked school. I didn't focus on it as much as I wish I would have. When I think about it now, I mean, I'm actually in school now because I'm going for 2 certifications, and I'm loving it. Like, my children cannot believe how much I love, you know, the schooling. And then after this, I have to go for, I'm going for my license. So I have to go, you know, go back to school. Right before COVID, I got my project management certification, because I'm a project manager by trade. And I was going for the license when I got the aha moment that, oh no, I'm going to be a coach. So as an adult, I've always, I'm just so curious about life, but I didn't have it when I was younger. And I guess there was a reason for it. I don't know. I was a regular B student, but I knew that I had the potential to be more.
Absolutely. What was your favorite subject in school?
Gym.
Ah,
I played volleyball. I played softball. In the 70s, I played with the boys because there weren't a lot of girls who played softball. And I was 11 years old. I was 5'5". So I was 5 feet, 5 inches tall, and I was 11 years old. And I had a good arm. And boys' baseball teams would come and recruit me. And because I lived in this poverty-stricken area, my mother was working, and then she was at school at night for college. So my mother went to college at night in the 70s. So she never saw me play. And I was a lot on my own. And every coach who recruited me knew that he had to come pick me up and take me home. Because that I had a single parent mother who worked and went to college at night. And I played all the way to high school.
Wow.
And then I started getting into boys, and then I said, okay. But I kind of let the professional, well, not the professional, but the junior sports go. But I come from a background, I come from a family that plays sports. So my mother played volleyball as an adult. My mother did the New York marathons, Boston marathons, up until 5 years ago. My mother's 83. And all my nieces and nephews, they all played in college. And yeah, I come from a very athletic family.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So yeah, gym is my favorite sport. And
Was there any subject that you did not like at all in school?
oh my God, I had such an aversion to English.
Why?
I think it was the teacher. I think it was my attitude. And I'm laughing because I wrote a chapter in a book a few months ago on single parenting.
Yeah.
And ever since, for the last 5 years, I've done so much journaling because I've been putting my feelings down on paper. I find that it's easier for me to work through them and process them. And write it on paper, which is how I got to write this chapter in the book. So I've come full circle.
It's beautiful indeed. Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that we were in the same class back in, say, grade 10, grade 11. What kind of student were you back then? Were you the shy, the quiet, the nerd, the life of the party,
Oh.
the superstar?
Well, I don't know how others saw me. I know how I saw myself. I'm an introvert, but I'm an extrovert. And so I become more of an extrovert when I'm with like-minded people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I feel safe in my environment, I am more of an extrovert, more of a leader. Yeah.
Beautiful. Were you popular with the boys?
Well, I've always had a male friend in my life, and that's been a very endearing, those relationships have been very endearing for me. To be a best friend with a man as a woman, I've cherished those relationships. I've always had one since I was 9 years old. So, and this 9-year-old, this man, who's a man now, I'm actually going to see him when I go to Virginia Beach because he's my brother.
Sure.
And his wife is my sister. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Now, moving forward, sorry, what was your very first job? And do you remember how much you get paid the first time you?
How much did I get paid?
What was the first?
So my first job, I was 14 years old. I was a camp counselor in the summer in New York City. And I was paid approximately $2.75. And this was in the 70s. And I thought it was a lot of money. Payment. So I've always been so very business minded. I'm 10 years old. I would do a budget on my allowance. And my allowance wasn't a lot of money. But I had a budget. My family thought I was going to be in accounting when I grew up because I would write. That's how meticulous I am when it comes to details. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, let's move forward. Let's talk about your path. How would you describe your path from the moment you left school to now? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing? Once you're into one lane, you were set for life? Or was it more like turns and twists, like a roller coaster?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster. It's been up, down. Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences. I recognize now that again, being that learner and teacher, I can help others. So I love mentoring younger women, or just women, period. They just happen to be younger than me. And these are, you know, professional young women. And so I'm able to share my experience, and it helps them. It helps them make decisions, because, you know, I've always, for some reason, people have always come to me and say, can I share something with you? I want to get your perspective on things. And this has happened to me since I was a kid. So it makes sense now that I'm a coach, because as a coach, I don't tell people what to do. I ask open-ended questions so that they can come up with their own conclusions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best way.
I'm
Yeah.
a good listener, I'm told.
Important. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah. Wow. Now, you know, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. So you, Zoraida, at your darkest, toughest moments in your life, how did you change your story internally to change your,
Oh,
to change your reality externally? And then I can use some examples after.
you know, growing up, I had a really volatile, dysfunctional childhood. And prior to getting cancer, I had 4 miscarriages.
Oh, wow.
And my first miscarriage was at 34 years old. And the people, my family, my friends, who didn't know what to say to me, how to comfort me, would say things like, when when God thinks you're ready, you'll have a baby. Not understanding that those words were so painful to hear, because I felt that God did not love me. Now, I grew up with an agnostic mother, so I didn't have religion. And let me just tell you this real quick story, that when I was growing up, I must have been about 12 years old. My friends were going to, they're Catholic, and they were going to church to get their communion. And I actually enrolled myself, not only to be with them, but because even at that age, I knew there was something there that I didn't have. I didn't believe in anything that I could see, feel, touch, or taste. And I just wanted something that was higher than me that I could believe in, because I couldn't believe that we were living the way we were living. And so, you know, when people were telling me things that they thought was helping me, it was actually making me feel bad. And I was actually internalizing it all. And I think I was getting sicker because of it, until about 5 years ago. And I'm not embarrassed to admit it, but until 5 years ago, when I realized that my whole entire life has actually been, this road has been a gift. It's been lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson. And once I understood my place in this world, I surrendered, and I'm still surrendering to it, because I still have to fight the fear of the poverty and the lack of wealth, right? Because it's a mindset shift. And so I've learned to be my own best friend. I've learned to parent myself the way I parent my children. And I care for myself now the way I care for others. And I grew up in a household, and I know your audience will relate to this, where I was actually brought up to take care of others. I'm the oldest. I had to mind my elders. Their happiness was supposed to be more important than my own happiness. I mean, that's the way I was brought up, right? Stop, you know, and I was told, stop doing XYZ. You need to do ABC, because this person's your elder, and I want you to do it. It didn't matter what my heart felt. didn't matter what I wanted. And so I always put myself last, but I always wanted to put myself first. And I was in an environment that didn't promote that until I started to remove myself. I had to remove myself from my family. I know, and it's painful to say because I love my family, because I've always been about family. But in order to be the person that I am sitting here now, I had to remove myself because of the bad behavior that was still going on that I just couldn't tolerate, and I wouldn't tolerate. And I'm glad I did, because I couldn't have been who I am now. I had to let go of that poverty mentality. I had to let go of that lack of scarcity mentality. I had to let go, which I still struggle with, not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I don't have a master's degree in psychology. You know, all those things that my mind sometimes tells me. And one of the ways I work through that is I've made my heart the leader. And
Yes.
that's how I live in my peace, love, and joy. I don't do things that I don't want to do. I don't do things that don't benefit my heart. My heart is the leader. My heart gets the mind and the ego to follow and support.
No, it's beautiful and powerful what you say, and I can relate to a lot of things. For example, I grew up in the same environment, being the eldest of the family. In our culture, I was supposed to take care of the rest, take care of as the man of the family after my father. I have to be the one, supporting, and I did that for the first 35 years of my life. I was the one just helping the family. It was all about them, putting them first, their needs, their happiness, everything for them. And just like you, I had to move and completely move to different places to focus on me. I had to start from zero, but and I love my family. We're in great terms. We talk frequently, but still, this is something I have to do. Now that they're all settled, they have their own, successful careers and all that, their families. Now it's time for me to focus on me, and I went to that. So one question I want to ask you, among many, one question is, what tips or advice do you have for someone that wants to break the cycle of generational poverty, for example? What is the first step to do to get out of that rut?
My first step was going to college, believe it or not. I went to the City University in New York City. And when I couldn't afford that, I got a job at JP Morgan, and they paid for my tuition. And so I was working 10-hour days, working in investment banking in Latin America division, where I got to hone my Spanish. And I had to work hard.
Work hard, yes, indeed.
So, and look, I have a kid going to college now, and he's not happy that his college tuition is so high. I knew it would give me options. As a Black Latina in New York City, I wanted to compete with the others. And I knew that I can only do that with a college education. And so that's how I did it externally. But then, with the illnesses or the miscarriages and then cancer, it shifted for me internally. And that's when the magic started. Because internally it's for you. It's that self-love, it's that devotion to self. And I think that's when I really came into my true, genuine happiness.
Absolutely. Though 99% of the work is internal inside in the mindset. Yeah. Speaking of that, so when you were diagnosed with cancer, which was horrible news, most people see that as a death sentence.
Yeah.
How How did you cope with that, and what allowed you to say no? I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna beat that thing, and I'm gonna succeed. How tell us the process, what how you and your mind and also externally you were able to cope with that and overcome it and not let that completely destroy you mentally, emotionally, and just wait to die.
You know, I like to say that that was the moment where I said, I'm going to change my whole entire life. And but it wasn't actually. When I got my diagnosis, I had just registered for the last 2 years of college because I didn't finish it the first time. And I wanted to go back and get my degree. So me being who I am, I said, well, I'm going to do a year with college, with cancer. And everyone thought I was crazy. But actually, it was good and it was bad. It kept me focused. And I actually got all A's and B's. But it hurt me because I didn't have that mindset shift that I have cancer. So if I don't make that shift, other people don't make that shift either. And so everyone looked at me as though she has cancer. Look at her. She's working and she's going to school. And she has 2 children who are 3 and 6 years old. So it was the only way that I knew how to cope. And I didn't know what I needed. And this is what happens to a lot of cancer people. You want to live the life you've been leading, but and you don't know what it means to let it go. And you don't know what you need. And unfortunately, doctors, I mean, thank God for doctors, they give you this diagnosis, they give you a treatment plan. But they don't have the tools nor the time to speak to you about mental health, about nutrition, about movement, about spirituality, which makes up the whole person. And so, after a year of going to school was when I said, I need to really address this, like address it internally in my heart. And I sought a therapist who helped me for a little while. And then I went to another therapist. When that one, when I was done with that one, I went to another therapist and I just kept going. And, I was one of those people whose family was saying, well, we don't go to therapy. We're Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans don't go to therapy. And my mother would say things like, are you talking about us? And I would have to say things like, well, it's not that I'm talking about you, but I am talking about my childhood and I'm speaking my truth. And my family did not like it at all. And none of my, it made people uncomfortable, but it was what I needed.
Mhm.
It was what I needed. It was for me. It's that devotion to self.
Yeah, no, wow, powerful. So what was the journey for you when we're going to cancer? Talk to us, take us through it. So you explained a little bit how you overcame that, but how did that change your life and your approach to your day-to-day living? Did you change your nutrition, your diet? Did you anything else? Tell us about how you change things around you.
After speaking with this woman, so I was eating very healthy. And so I ate a little more healthy, but you don't know what you don't know. So a few years ago, I was coaching people for free. And I used to be in HR. So I was coaching people for salary negotiations, and I was helping people with relocation packages, and I was helping people with cancer. And this went on through COVID. And all of a sudden, I just looked at my life and said, what am I hungry for? How do I want to live my life? What do I need that I don't have? And how do I get it? And I've been asking myself that every day. And that's what pushes me and moves me to move forward, because I want to live in peace, love, and joy. And so what did that look like? So I had to look at myself in like 3 different compartments, right? My heart, my mind, and my ego. Also in the nutrition, in the pillar aspect, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, because I needed something. And so the first thing for me was the spiritual, because I didn't really have that. And I wanted to believe in something that I couldn't see. I wanted to have faith in something. And so I started, Eckhart Tolle was my first spiritual teacher, right before I got my cancer diagnosis. How sweet is that? How sweet.
Wow.
That I'm reading this book, The Good Earth, The New Earth. And I'm reading this book and I'm just getting aha moments, like bing, 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 bing. I'm like, oh my God, he's writing to me. He's talking to me.
Yes.
And it's a heavy book. Have you read it? It's The New Earth.
No, I haven't read it. I'm gonna write this down.
Oh my God. And I actually read it twice.
Who's the author?
Eckhart Tolle, Tolle.
Okay.
And I just had the spiritual awakening. And I'm like, this is what I need. I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Wow.
10 months later, I got diagnosed with cancer. It was meant for me. I was supposed to pick up that book. There was a reason why. I mean, I'm doing a lot of skipping, but that book, he's such a great teacher. He's so much of a great teacher that when I got divorced, I read his other book,
Now?
The Power of Now.
Another book.
And anyone going through a divorce or breakup, I recommend that book because it just puts things into perspective and it helps you respond instead of react. That book saved me through my turbulent divorce. Yeah, it did.
I love that response. I'm writing this down. Respond instead of react. I read this book way back, and I'm gonna get the audible version as well, because each time you read or listen to a book again, you will catch a new meaning that you might have missed, because we're not ready to understand the full deeper meaning of it. Just
exactly, we're not ready.
Sometimes the message that you hear it, everything, one thing I learned is that everything happens at the right time. When you're ready for something new, for a new chapter, a new phase, a new set of challenge, you will be prepared, either through a book, through a sudden interest into a new topic, or maybe you might laugh, but I love listening to tarot readings, for example. I'm a Libra.
So do I. Oh, we have that in common. That's for another podcast, but yes, I love tarot readings.
Oh my God. What's your sign?
So my sun is Aries, my rising is Cancer, and my moon is Leo.
So I understand
What's
this.
yours?
Stubbornness, a drive, and all that. That's very typical characteristics of Aries and the Leo and all that. Yes. I'm a Libra. So yeah, so wow.
So you know that you and I together make the perfect balance, right?
Yes.
You're 6 months, you're exactly 6 months after me. And the characteristics that you have are the ones that I work towards as an Aries. And you, as that balanced person, sometimes needs that drive, get up and go that an Aries provides. So when I love actually my son is a Libra, and my other one is a Libra rising. He's fighting it every step of the way. And my ex-husband is a Libra, but we were so good together at one time because I was able to, encourage him to take a course that would help his career. I could see things differently And then he would give me that balance when I felt out of whack, when I felt um, distorted. And so we were good together for a really long time. Yeah.
I'm the biggest cheerleader for people, but sometimes I need my own cheerleader too. I'm a human at the end of the day. So this is
That's
why
right.
I'm a more like an idea type of guy. I'm not a detail person. Sometimes I feel embarrassed talking to people because I don't remember details. I'm not a detailed person. But let me talk about big vision, big ideas. And that's why I need someone that's detail oriented to come and help.
That's me.
My
So
sister and brother are Aries. My brother-in-law is Aries. So yeah, wow. And I know some good friends of mine, very good friend of mine that are Leos. We get along very well. So yeah, that's a very good perspective. So again, why I brought this up is because sometimes you listen to some readings and it's almost as if speak to you, literally word for word. Sometimes you pick up a book completely changed the course of my life. Back in 2008, I was about to apply for law school. I'm the guy that's Libra, balance, justice, all about that. Speak multiple languages. My dream was to go into becoming a lawyer specializing in international law. My dream life, everything set up. My father, my mother, very proud of me and super excited. And then one day I was working in the government back in 2008, lunchtime, just before Christmas, 2008. I went to a bookstore in the food court. That book was calling my name. It was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, and I spent my entire lunch hour devouring the book. I forgot about food. I picked it up. I spent the whole afternoon devouring the book. I called in sick the next 2 days, finishing the book. And I ended up, to the dismay and horror of my parents, not submitting my application to law school, but instead I started my first online business. My life would have been so much easier if I had gone to law school, but I chose to follow my heart. As entrepreneurs, you go ups and downs, feast and famine. 1 month you can't make any, you're struggling even to pay your basic expenses. The next month you're making so much money, you don't know what to do, and you invite all your friends, come on guys, let's party. That's a life of entrepreneurs. More fun, very bumpy, but much more fun. So yeah, sometimes, like for example, I will give you an example of cancer. I told you my father. I used to be, before the pandemic, I was never religious, but I always believed in God. Before the pandemic, if you talk to me about spirituality, things, stay away from me. Stay away. You're crazy. Don't talk to me. But then when I came back, I was living in Hong Kong before the pandemic. I came back home. Then all of a sudden, I've always been very, very fascinated by space, by all these things. And then for some reason, I get very interested into past life readings.
I've had past life readings.
Same here. I get interested into that. I spent hours and hours at the start of the pandemic just, consuming books, videos on YouTube on that. But you know why? That was preparing me for what's to come. And then in the fall of 2020, my father got diagnosed with cancer. And honestly, me understanding that we have all that we are eternal spiritual beings having temporary physical experiences, that we have had thousands of past lives and future lives to come. This is what really allowed me and helped me to cope with it, to understand, hey, it's just the next stage. When we die, unlike the saying, oh, you only have one life, YOLO, you only live once. No, that's not true. Sure, live as much as you can here, experience as much as you can, because life is a buffet. Do as many experiences as you can, yes. But then once I understood that, hey, I'll see him again. I've seen him before. We will be together again. I understood what really is going on. It's a play and all that. Honestly, this is what really prevented me from going crazy, especially being in the start of the pandemic. Canada was one of the most strictest countries in terms of the restrictions. We live in the countryside. After you're frozen, the perfect storm. This is what really allowed me to overcome it and keep my sanity and not jump from the wind in front of the train. I'm not joking. What really allowed me to overcome that. So again, whatever, nothing happens randomly. Not even the person you talk to at the cash at the register. There's a meaning. You learn something. Either you learn something or you help someone make their day. Hey, how are you? How's your day? What's your name? Next time we go to cash, address them by their name. How is your day going? They will be very happy because nobody does that. They will remember you. It's all about that. So
And it elevates both people. You know,
Yeah.
when you extend that courtesy and that kindness, it extends you as the person extending that, and the person receiving it. I mean, you talked about past lives. I'm ascending.
Wow.
I know that in my next life, it's going to be different. And I'm going to start in a different level. I know it. I know it. That's why I'm working so hard now, because I've had 3 lives, and one was as a man. And I was told by a spiritual teacher and reader that I was killed because of my belief.
Oh, it happened to me too.
And so she said to me that if I want to continue to work through my limiting beliefs, that I needed to do 2 things. I needed to love myself, and I needed to believe in myself. And once I do that, I'm going to belong, and I'm going to find my place. And so when I heard that, I actually got more information on past lives, and I did a little ceremony in my kids, you know, they don't live with me, so it was great. And this was COVID, so it was great. I was all by myself, and I actually did a little ceremony with candles and water, and I honored and again, a lot of the dysfunction in my family is generational dysfunction. It's generational karmic energies. So I was actually sending them love and healing them at the same time. And believe it or not, I got a lot of healing from that. I know we got off from the cancer thing, but the past life, it interests me.
Absolutely. Actually, I've had a few hypnotherapists on the podcast. One actually did a live past life, not regression, but reading on me. I'll send you the link. I was absolutely fascinated. We were supposed to talk for 20 minutes. We talked for 2 hours, and even before and after, in total 3 hours. Phenomenal lady. I'll send you that link. It was just before Christmas of 2021. I learned so many things about me. You know, I was killed multiple times because of my beliefs. You know, I was fighting the mighty church back in Italy, back in medieval England, Scotland. And then the most funny one, I was a nobility in Spain in the 17th century. I was my best friend. And I asked why? Because he wanted to marry my wife, and the only way to do it was to kill me. And the first question I asked him was, is this person present in my life currently? He said, no, don't worry.
Yeah, and that's a good question.
It's so fascinating. Yes, we can do a lot of things talk about that, but let's move forward. So tell us now about the impact, the work you're doing. So you said that you went to cancer, you overcame that, and then at first you were helping other people, and then how did it turn that into a business, and what is your impact?
So I think it was December of 2021, and we're in COVID. And I had a talk with God Universe, and I said, I was in the middle of this spiritual awakening. And I said, God Universe, you know, I'm ready for a new life. You know, so I sold my home, my kids' childhood home, the week before COVID closed the United States. So it took me a long time to get to New York because A, no one would move me. B, no one would give me an apartment here. And the person that I sold my house to couldn't wait to get rid of me because he bought a house and he wanted to move in. But here it is, December 2020, December 2020. And I'm sitting here and I just go like this and I go, God, universe, I'm ready to change my life. I want new friends, new business. And by business, I meant a new job because I did not have my own business at the time. I was working as a project manager for the CIO of an investment firm. And I said, I'm ready to change my life. I just don't know what it looks like. And that was December of 2020. March of 2021, 3 things happened. One, I was awarded a full scholarship at the Institute of Transformational Nutrition to study to be a cancer coach and a nutrition coach. 2, I became a founding member of the Fem League, which is this beautiful organization for women around the world, working in all different industries on empowerment. And 3, I joined Mind Valley. And my first course was the Marissa Peer course on ridding myself of those limiting beliefs of poverty, mindset, of all those things. And in 1 month, the March of 2021, I joined all 3 of those organizations and my whole life changed. It just changed. And people that were surrounding me were not happy. You know, they were, but then when they realized I wasn't going to be able to spend time with them the way we used to, or I wasn't going to tolerate certain behaviors, they didn't like it. So it was perfect. It was kismet. It was meant to happen.
Absolutely.
That's when I realized that I actually have this manifestation power that I didn't know I had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell us about your business.
My business. I am so excited.
Beautiful business. It's more like giving back. You see it because it's not, maybe you can correct me, but I see it not. I have a feeling that you're not doing it for the money. Sure, money is important, but doing first and foremost to give back, to help, and to provide hope and a roadmap for people who are going to what you went through.
Yeah. So, after I got this epiphany that I'm going to be a cancer coach, I had a talk with Father God and the universe. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but you need to make sure that I am, I always have food. I can pay my mortgage or my rent, or, that I'm taken care of. And I'll wholeheartedly do this. And everything that I was learning and the people that were surrounding me, because, the law of attraction happens, right? Now you're surrounded by coaches. Now you're surrounded by teachers. Now the people that you're associating with are all in talking about mindset and shifting. And it just makes, I feel my whenever I'm not thinking about good things, all I have to do is think about my children, my business, and I literally could feel my heart go, and my fingers, they start to tingle. And that's my feeling. Those are my intuition telling me I'm in the right place. So, while I'm in school, I finally go, they decide that they're going to, my oncologist decides that she's going to take me off chemotherapy because I was on the chemotherapy for 13 years. Now I got I was on chemotherapy for 13 years.
Wow.
In order to stay in remission. Yeah.
How often would you go and get your dose?
So because I have leukemia, and that's in the bone marrow. My cancer is in the bone marrow. I was able to take a pill every day. And so when I moved to New York and I had to get a new doctor, she said, I think it's time. There's new research out that shows that we can take you off and see what happens. And if your cancer comes back, we can put you on something else. And so on August 7th of 2021, I took my last chemotherapy pill, and I was on my way to Portugal on that day.
Wow.
And so when I came back a month later, I said, I'm going to get a tattoo and I'm going to start my own business. So my tattoo says, I don't know if you can see it because it says life by design, not default. I can send you a picture, but it says life by design, not default.
Wow, beautiful.
And the life by design is in script, and then by default is in block letters. And I did that deliberately because it was how I felt when I was living in default. When I was living life by default, I felt like that block letter. But then when I felt free and I was living life by design, I was flowing, I was ebbing, it was just a different energy. And I incorporated myself. Now, it's a good thing that I'm in finance. So understanding that portion was easy for me, but I still had to work on the internal stuff. That's the only way I'm going to be the coach that I want to be, is by continuing to peel those layers of myself that I want to change. And so for the last 2 years, I've been changing my inner core. I did a 10-month trauma program with Dr. Jeffrey Rupstein with the Sound True Institute. Great trauma program. Rewiring. I've been doing a lot of rewiring because my trauma is, there was a lot of things that happened in that childhood. Good things too. I mean, I remember someone putting a cardboard box that housed a refrigerator and putting it out for the sanitation to pick up. And us kids didn't know any better. And so we took that, and it was winter, and we got in the box and we rolled down the hill. And so though I was in poverty, I had so many good moments that there were times I didn't even know that we were hungry, I didn't know I was hungry, but I didn't know we were that poor. So it wasn't all bad, right? I've had some good moments, but this shifting, this rewiring, because I've done work where I've literally gone into my childhood room. I'm seeing myself as that 7-year-old child. I've actually hugged her. I've actually told her how much I loved her. I've apologized to her for not taking good care of her sometimes, because sometimes I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And it's been healing me. So I couldn't have been the person I am today, and I would not be the person that I'm going to be tomorrow if it wasn't for all the peeling and forgiving myself and forgiving the people who didn't take good care of me, because they didn't know what they didn't know. And you can't give what you've never been given. You can't, it was never mirrored to me. So it made sense. And for me, the moment I forgave my ex-husband, my mother, my father, God, society, whatever, whomever, a boss, a boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, it was just this freedom that I felt and that I continue to feel. But I got to tell you, the hardest person to forgive was myself, because forgiveness is so empowering. It's so freeing. Now, these people don't know that I forgave them. It's not, as you don't go to someone and say, I forgive you. I did it for me, for selfish reasons, because I knew I wasn't the person I wanted to be if I didn't let go. And I had to, and then I'm a parent as well. So I don't know what I don't know. And I admit it. Yeah. I'll know more tomorrow, but right now, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. But I know more than I did yesterday.
Absolutely.
And so once I started forgiving everyone, and forgiving myself, I think that's when things like, I think that's when the world opened for me. And so I remember the day, I think it was, there was a new moon happening because I'm into astrology.
Yeah.
And I wrote a poem or something. I don't have it with me because my phone is off. Didn't want to be disturbed, but basically in this poem, I'm writing it to myself. I'm forgiving myself for what I did, what I said, what I didn't do, for what I didn't know. And that I promise to love myself and love myself some more. And so it is.
So it'll be absolutely, amen. Love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So back to your cancer coaching business. How long you've been doing that now?
So I've been doing it for 2 years, and I've been doing it for free, actually. And I've helped a lot of people, including my sister who moved to another state, and got a higher paying job, got a higher title, got more relocation money because of my coaching. But now, you know what? Again, the self-love. It's time to take care of me, right? I still have to eat and send kids to college. And so I am launching in a few weeks. I've got, you know, my motto is the 3 pillars of nutrition: the mental, physical, and spiritual. And so the mental part of it is, how do I want to live my life with cancer? Because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to cure you of cancer. I am going to help you live with cancer, life by design, not default, with your heart.
You should register this domain, Life by Design.
I have that domain. Let me rephrase. Life by Design is already taken. I have Life by Design, not default, and I trademark that as well.
Beautiful.
And what I have on my arm, and it's where I use everywhere, because it's Life by Design, not default. The default will be me going, oh, I can't live the life I want to live because God damn it, I got cancer. By design is, yeah, I have to take care of myself differently than maybe someone else who's not totally healthy, but I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it by design.
Absolutely. No, I hear you. I hear you.
And for me, living by design is making my heart the leader, which I never did before.
Mhm.
Because I'm a mind and ego. I'm an Aries. I'm a
Yeah.
mind and ego, right? Which gets things done. I mean, we all need the mind and the ego. But now that I've made the heart the leader, I have conversations that in my head, I don't know about other people, but in my head, when the mind said, oh, I got a perfect example. I could tell you what my mind and my ego said the moment my heart said out loud that I was going to be a cancer coach. Can I tell you?
Please.
Because it was so powerful. So I'm like, the words blurted out of my mouth. It wasn't a conscious thing. It took me by surprise because, like I said, my heart was just so filled with love. And I was like, now I understand what I was meant to do. So I said, I'm going to be a cancer coach. And my mind said, what? You don't know how to be a coach. You're a finance project manager. You know the details. My ego said, hell no. We like making the money that we make. We like living the lifestyle that we live. We like living in the house that we're living. We don't want to change anything. And I got to tell you, it took my heart a moment because I'm not used to it, right? Because I told you I was a mind and ego person. And then I don't know how I found the words. Well, I know how I found the words, to a spiritual teacher that I was working with. And I said, no, I'm the leader.
Yes.
You are here to follow and support. And if we do this, I'm going to show you what our life could be, really be, how happy we all can be, all 3 entities in one body. And And still, I gotta tell you, my mind, everyone was going, I'm not listening to her, right? I'm not listening to her heart. That's, this is gonna be tough. How much money do we need? What kind of certifications do we need? I don't have time. We don't have time for this. I just reframe. I would go, mind, I know you're being a smartass now, and I get you, and I know you're trying to protect me, but this is going to be good for us, and we're going to still be able to live a good life. But we're going to help people, and this is going to be so good for us. I promise you. Just work with me. And I had a lot of resistance from my mind, even while I was on Zoom calls. Payment, I would be on Zoom calls, and my mind would. I'm on a call with 30, 40 people, and here's my mind going, how are we going to pay for that? Just, and I would tell my mind, and while I'm in a call, it's funny because I think about it now as we're on a Zoom call, and I would tell my mind, we'll talk about it when I finish, when I finish the Zoom call, or I would say, we'll talk tonight because I have a lot of Zoom calls. And I had to keep reframing, and I had to keep shifting, and I had to keep talking to my mind and convincing my mind and my ego that this is where we belong, that we did not belong being in finance anymore. And I gave my mind and ego the examples. I mean, I got laid off in COVID. I was the executive assistant project manager to the CIO, and I got laid off. Now, I got laid off because he resigned and went to another company. But, and I worked in a company where not everyone in the C-level suite had an assistant like me. But still, I was like, that was the perfect example why we no longer belong in finance.
Wow.
And sometimes my mind does the, how are we going to pay for that? Do we have time and energy for that? But again, I always go back to things are working great. We're here to help the world, help our community when they need it the most. Because when I got my diagnosis, I didn't have a cancer coach. So I don't want anyone to struggle the way I struggled. And that is my motivation. I do not want anyone to struggle the way I struggled. And, I ended up, after 24 years, getting a divorce because a diagnosis like that brings up the trauma, brings up other people's trauma. So at first he was able to support me, but then his own trauma got in the way. His own limiting beliefs got in the way. And, no one could believe that here's this person taking chemotherapy every day with a lot of challenges, because one of my challenges was that my blood pressure would go low and I would faint anywhere.
Wow, that's dangerous.
Yeah, it was very dangerous, which is why my ankle hurts, which is why my ankle spraining it this time is even worse, because I've sprained it so many times. I mean, I literally fall, or I used to.
Like for that to happen, let's say you're driving, for example.
Yeah, thank God it never happened when I was driving, but it did. And every time it happened, I was home. So I was, I kind of feel like God universe was watching over me. Because I worked in New York City and I lived in New Jersey. So it's a 60-mile commute.
60, wow, yeah.
And so, but it like I said, it brought up other people's traumas, and my family didn't handle it well. And when I say family, I'm talking about my mother, my siblings. They didn't know how to support me. But in fairness, at the beginning, I didn't know what I needed myself, because it's not like you get cancer and then you go, okay, let me see who's got cancer. And it's so, you're devastated, and it's so private. And we all know someone who knows someone who knows someone, but unless you really can have someone walk you through it, you have no idea what you're up against. You have no idea how your life just changed like this.
Was your
I
ex,
thought my life didn't change
was
because
your,
I didn't want it to change.
was your ex-husband there to help you during your cancer?
Well, I was married to him for 24 years. So yeah, there were times, but towards, like 2017 or no, 2015, that's when I recognized that I wasn't living the life I wanted to live. And I didn't want to live like the way I was living, and I wasn't getting what I need, and I wanted to get what I needed because I was putting myself first, because I was doing all this internal work. And once you have an aha moment, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. You can't unsee it. So once I realized that I matter, and I have a devotion to myself, I wanted to be taken care of accordingly. And when I wasn't, that was when I decided to get my divorce, even though I was taking chemotherapy.
Wow. Mm.
But look, I've known him since college. So I've known him 40 years. And we've always been friends. I mean, we dated 5 years. And we're really good at co-parenting now. I mean, we've got our last child going to college, and we did all the campus tours. And when people see us, they don't even know we're divorced. They think we're still married. Or that, yeah, because we have a respectful relationship. And that happened because I forgave him. Now, I had to set a boundary, and for a year, I had to not speak to him. Like, I literally told him, I don't like your behavior. I don't like the way you're speaking to me. I am going to block you if you continue this behavior. And he kept doing it, and then I blocked him. And then I blocked him for a year. And this was during COVID too. And during that time, he had his own epiphany about, wow, look at the way I'm behaving. Maybe I should do things differently. But I forgave him because he had his own trauma, and you don't know what you don't know. And he did the best he could, and I did the best I could. I mean, I'm not perfect either.
Absolutely.
And I let go. I let go of all that.
Yeah.
And once I was able to let go of that, I felt so much lighter. I felt so much happier. And peace, love, and joy is where I want to be every day, all day. And it sounds Pollyannish, but my heart has to put a stamp on things and be happy. So meditation,
Yes.
Reiki, yoga, being still,
Yeah.
just being. I never used to be. I used to do. But now I could be, and it's just a wonderful feeling. It's done so much for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Powerful. Share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen with one of your clients so far.
So this woman came to me, and she came for her daughter. She wanted to support her daughter who got this diagnosis. And she came to me because my sister called me and said, this person that we know her daughter has cancer, and I want you to help her understand what it means, because I don't think she understands how her life is changing, and she's in a bad state. And so I let the woman just ask me any questions, because I know what it's like, right? She's like, oh my God, I had no idea you're a cancer survivor. So I let her ask me all these questions, and she felt better. And then I said, and I don't even know how it just came to me, and I said, can I tell you the 7 things that I encourage you to do now that your daughter has this diagnosis? And she said, yes, please. And I said, would you allow me to help you breathe? If we can do a little breath work. I said, just so that we can get centered. And she said, yes. So we did a little breath work. And immediately I saw, we did the 478. And the 478 is by Dr. Andrew Wild, who I love, who I've known since I was a kid. And not personally, I mean, I just know his work. And I saw how her body just shifted. Like her shoulders just went down, just by the breathing. And then I said, because I'm thinking mental, physical, and spiritual. And I said, let's talk about your heart in this.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not forget your heart. Where do you belong? Do you belong being frantic and reacting? Or do you belong responding?
Yeah.
Would you like to learn more about the cancer? Would you like to learn about being an active patient and partnering with this doctor? Would you like to learn about the foods that you can buy and eat? And even the words, what you should be looking for that can help you heal from the inside out. And I asked her if there was anyone or anything that she believed in that was higher than herself. And we took off from there. And her daughter, I didn't treat her daughter. Her daughter was the cancer. Her daughter was diagnosed with negative triple breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of breast cancer out there. And she has an incurable one, 28. She got diagnosed the day after her birthday.
Oh.
But I'm coaching the mom because what I do, I coach survivors, caregivers, because caregivers want to know. They want to know how they can help their loved ones.
Sure.
And so, you know, working with this woman, I felt like it was a gift. Is that weird? But I feel like she kind of helped me. I helped her, but in return, she was actually helping me. I was developing my own paradigm, my own business paradigm without even knowing it. I was just telling her what I learned, and now I was teaching it to her. So my business, right now I'm working on, you know, I have a sales funnel. I'm working on an email nurturing sequence. I'm doing a lot of writing. All the writing is my own. And then I give it to the marketing people and then they clean it up. But it's all me. It's all my language. It's how I speak.
Exactly.
I've got 15 years before I retire.
Wow.
And in those 15 years, I want to coach people. I want to coach groups. I want to change health reform. I want that everyone who gets a cancer diagnosis gets a coach. I want to hire coaches from different nationalities and cultures so that when someone does get a cancer diagnosis, I don't want to be the one. I want to be the one to say, hey, you know those tamales you like? We're gonna make it special. We're gonna add organic ingredients. We're gonna add things from the earth. And you're still going to feel this beautiful feeling that you get from your childhood when you eat tamales. because I'm going to hire a coach and you're going to work with a coach from your background if you want. These are some of the things that I want to work on. Retreats, mentoring others. Because I think that I know that as I heal myself and as I open this business, I'm not the only one. There's so many people doing this. Look what you're doing. You're amplifying what I'm doing, which gives us both a voice. The more we heal ourselves as a community, we heal each other. Can you imagine what we could do with the world? I mean, really.
Yeah. It's all about inspiring, empowering, and
So
showing.
that's what I think about when this is what makes my heart go.
Yes, yes, yes.
So a few days ago, I'm speaking to this gentleman. I'm about to hire him. He's going to do some lifestyle pictures for me. He's a photographer. And he asked me, oh, are you dating? And I said, no. And he said, why? You've been divorced for 4 years. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just so happy with my business. I said, I'm my babe. This is my baby. I mean, I was 58 when I started this. This is everything for me. Yeah. Not only is it my career, and not only is it my legacy, it's my purpose. Yeah. And some people's purpose is to help me help others, but I'm in this beautiful position. Here's the beautiful position. I walk alongside my clients. I'm managing my own treatments. I was just told a couple of months ago, before I left for Estonia, that I have a high risk of getting colon cancer because I have a lot of digestive issues, which I've had for many years. And I know I'm getting off topic here, but I don't know why I feel compelled to say this. Like maybe somebody needs to hear this. So when I got the news that, okay, you have irritable bowel disease, you've got gastritis, there's a good chance that you're going to get colon cancer because your colonoscopies for the last 2 years consecutively have shown precancerous cells. You know, 20 years ago, I would have said, what the fuck? But because now I have the tools and the resources from that first cancer, I went, I need to up my nutrition game. I need to up my spiritual game. I'm lucky. I feel so blessed that I know who to go to. I know where to go to. I know what to do. And I'm not claiming it. Yeah. I'm not claiming it. Because I'm not claiming it. And most importantly, when I'm no longer here in this space and I move to the other space, I'm not living with regret because I lived my life exactly the way I wanted to live it, with peace, love, and joy. And that's what pushes me to put myself out here in podcasts and on stage. I mean, I told the whole group of people in Mind Valley that I was a cancer survivor. Of course, the topic was relevant, but I've been learning and feeling comfortable with telling my story because I feel someone needs to hear this, because I want to give people hope in the possible, that no matter what diagnosis we get, you can still live in your heart with peace, love, and joy. It doesn't mean life is going to be easy. Life is never going to be easy for anyone. Yeah. But I'm living the life the way I want to live it.
Okay, beautiful. Listen, Zoraida, beautiful. Love this conversation. I love your story. So much more we can cover. Let's wrap this up. It's been almost 2 hours. Over 2 hours we've been talking. We started at 8:30. Now it's close 10 to 11. We'll call it a day here for part one. We'll do a part two in a few days. because and the part is going to be a lot shorter because we're almost there. So much more I want to ask, but I have to jump off. I have a call in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Listen, absolute honor. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on my podcast, for opening your heart, sharing your story. As I said, my MTA, my most trusted advisor, is telling me that me and you, we're gonna do a lot of those calls because there's so much wisdom, so many gifts you have to share to the world. And I'm beyond honored to be able to have you on my platform, on my podcast. And who knows, maybe one day in my books to come share your story, your gift, your gifts, your wisdom here. So I salute you. You're truly with a heart. And oh, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
ZoraidaMorales.com.
Easy peasy. I'll put it in the show notes. All right, so Zoraida, as we say back home in Canada, have a fantabulous evening for you and restful evening. Keep shining your light, keep blessing the world with your presence, your impact, with your
Thank you.
smile, your positivity, your drive, with everything you're doing. We're definitely going to be doing part 2 either end of this week or early next week. I'm very much looking forward to it. So until then, stay safe, stay awesome, keep shining your light. Take care. God bless.
Muchísimas gracias.
Nada, placer mío. Ciao, ciao. Bye.